Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to another episode of Fix My Mix. I go by the name of Arsenic. And tonight we are going live. We have Steve Skyline who submitted a beat. Shout out Steve Skyline. Let me fix that camera angle just a little bit. My bad. So we're gonna get started here in just a second. I'm gonna try and keep this one short tonight. I have a little bit of a sore throat, which is disgusting and gross. So share the stream, like and subscribe, all that fun YouTube jazz, whatever you need to do. We're gonna get into it and let's kick it off. So I have done nothing to this beat other than import it. I got it downloaded. Let me play the original bounce that I was given, and then we'll go through and tweak it. Fix the mix.
You're going to love this. Yeah, love it. You're going to love this. Yeah, love it.
So yeah, that is our original mix that I was sent. I have my stems loaded up here. I hadn't done much else to it other than just import it and get it all aligned. So let's get into it. Mute that. Reset our volume. First thing I need to do is tap out a tempo. So I guess maybe I can play that bounce a little bit more and get that tapped out.
You're going to love this. Yeah, love it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That seems to be about 84 BPM. Just trying to keep an eye on the chat. If anybody has any questions, throw them down below into a chat, and I will do my best to answer them as live as I possibly can. But so the concept for Fix My Mix is that this was sent to us by an artist, and we're going to go through and we're going to not necessarily fix it. This is a pretty good mix as is, but go through and just give the pointers, tips, and tricks. I hate gatekeeping for any kind of knowledge, so we're gonna not gatekeep, and anything that y'all have a question about, I will be glad to answer. So let's get into it and kind of go through and organize this session real quick, and then get into actual mixing and kind of just piece everything together. So what I see here is, from my quick little preview I took earlier, is drums. Typically, I would prefer to mix everything kind of separately as far as kick, snare, hi-hat, and everything like that, but this is just how it was sent, so all good mixing in is kind of a drum loop. And for right now, I'm also going... Oh, I mislabeled that track up there anyway. So we're going redo what I was just about to say. Anyway, I'm going to delete this master for right now, and then shift everything up, just so we don't accidentally unmute the master and blare everybody's ears out. So yeah, this is what we called, I'm going to call it basic drums. I did it again. There we go. Basic drums. And we're going to call this one synth 1. That's definitely our bass. I'm going to see if I need to process those similarly or differently. We'll figure that out here shortly. Not seeing anything on that track. So a good way sometimes to check if, yo, what up, Manny? Good time if you don't see any audio on a track. Sometimes the best way to see if there actually is anything is to, for FL Studio anyway, is to come in here and up underneath this little click right there, click boost, and see if that does anything at all. And in this case, it didn't, which means I can ignore this track. Then we're going to go here. Ooh, that's a nice little... so that's insert 10. I'm going to delete that just because that was not anything on there. On this one, we have our... This is lead synth. How are you tonight, Manny? And again, I'm not seeing anything on this one. So we're going to delete insert 12 and insert 12. We'll delete from there as well. That's a classic riser. Is that like a crash? Yep. Crash, and then the last sample to get named. Okay, so that's like our sample, but with some delay effects on it. Cool. So a pretty basic track overall. Not insulting the track at all, but it's as far as tracks go, 11 tracks is pretty easy to keep up with. So yeah. Before I get into this, like I said, like, subscribe, do all that kind of fun YouTube stuff if you are so inclined. Me and Heatmaker are doing this every other week. We are alternating weeks. It kind of helps with our scheduling just a little bit. So yeah, I'm taking this week. This is episode 6. So if you click back into my lives here on YouTube, you can see the past 2 episodes. Heats are still on Facebook at the moment. Eventually we'll kind of collaboration, hopefully everything soon. So yeah, we're going to get into this and get to mixing. We've got everything named. So now we need to do the main thing for a mix, in which is assign everything to a mixer track. So we've got our FL Studio mixer here. Fun, quick little trick is to select the tracks that you want. Click on the first track of where you want to assign them and hit Control, Shift, and L, and it will do that for you, assigning each one its own channel. And And then we've got I didn't assign this one. This is the original kind of bounce that's just kind of hanging out there that we'll drag back in later to compare. As I said, I have a sore throat, so I'll be drinking lots and lots of water tonight. This is, like I said, a fairly kind of straightforward track, I'll put it. I won't say easy, but a straightforward track. As it's sent here, it's a little less hot than I think it was in the original master, but things that I hear is that it's very drum forward, so I'm going to pull actually just our sample volume up, probably just, let's say 6 dB on, and probably 3 for the one that's happening kind of during the chorus and ending parts there, and then with these stabs, I'll probably add another 6 dB as well. Just basic gain staging, basic leveling before you even kind of get into the track as far as applying effects. I think most tracks just need to be balanced, and if it sounds good, balance is when you can start doing your things such as tone control with an EQ, or doing things such as just make sure there's nobody hiding out over here on Facebook. Yeah, and with a basic level control, and then getting into just doing basic leveling, and then getting into it with tone control of EQ and stuff like that. I'm going to pull up some of these perks quite a bit as well. Give those some shine and probably compress them. So we'll see how this kind of sounds, and then make some more adjustments. That was one of the nice features added in FL20, I believe, was this clip gain kind of feature. Pro Tools had it for quite some time on individual clips, and I was really glad that FL added it for this reason, because it also helps, like if I was working on this track and I wanted, say, this track or this piece specifically louder compared to everything else on the track, I could do that as well. So it's just nice to have some extra level control in there. So we'll see what these balances do and did, and see what we are doing. And one thing to take into account too, for what I'm doing to this mix, I am mixing it as a standalone instrumental or standalone beat. My entire philosophy of how I would mix this would change entirely if I was adding a vocal or a singer on top of this. Just realized I'm kind of showing off all the goods over here. So yeah, my approach to this would completely change depending on if I was mixing it for just a beat or just to have an artist on it as well. So, and that's typically where I approach my mixes for beats, especially, is that I want them to, especially for beat battle beats, I usually say that a beat should have a voice of its own if there's not a voice on it. And so I'm trying to think of an element, and that's why I was playing around with that perk level where I pulled it way up, and I'm like, oh, that would be kind of nice just sitting there standing alone, or to stand out a little bit more if it was just a beat. I wouldn't want that standing out if there was a vocal track on top of this. What up, Dave? So yeah, that's just kind of how I would approach this, depending on the use case for the beat. If this was going out to an artist, I would want them to be able to hear themselves on it, and I might pull some certain elements back. And especially with things like the bass and things like that, then it would be, I wouldn't want the bass to stand out as much, because you do have to leave audio headroom for a vocal to kind of sit in there, especially. So yeah, let's take a peep at this, and we'll keep on moving. I just got some new toys as well. So I'm going to do it, probably mix it the way I typically would, which is for most battle beats that I do, I will sing its praises every single time that I'm doing this. This is this Puig Child 670 stereo. It is based on the old Fairchild compressor / limiter from back in the day, and I wish I had a hardware one, but they are about $30,000 a piece used, and require an engineer on their own to kind of take care of themselves. And again, not gatekeeping any information. We've got this Puig Child, and I literally will run just a preset on it, usually when I'm mastering anyway, for when I'm kind of mixing into a chain. I will take this Drew Levine, whatever it is, vintage mastering glue preset, and that's typically all I will run on my master, unless I'm also going for some creative effects. Now, like I said, I also got some new toys that I have yet to play with, but I might throw on here towards the end whenever we're kind of finishing up. I've got Ozone 11 loaded up. Fresh release. But yeah, we'll come back to that. But for right now, I'll mix it how I typically would, and then might dive a little bit deeper into there. So yeah, no tweaks typically needed for this. Sometimes I'll mess around with the threshold and see if that'll tighten it up a little bit more. But yeah, typically just run that preset. Nothing compares to you. And I think, just want to get that over there. I want to hear this with, so this is without the Puig Child on it. Nothing compares to you. This is with. Nothing compares to you. I totally just realized, and y'all probably don't notice it, but I just realized I forgot I had a chroma key on this that is blocking out the faders, the green on the faders. So let me see if that is fixed over here now. Nothing compares to you. It's not. Where is that? Standby. Let me find my chroma key. I didn't think there was any on there. That's fun. I'll have to figure that out afterwards. Anyways, so we've got our Puig Child 670 on there. That's usually what I typically mix into. Since our, as I call it in the basic drums, as far as our kick, our snare, and our hi-hat are all already kind of bust into one, we're going to do some light processing there. I'm going to tighten those up with trying to think of how I would like to process those. We're going to try with this vintage exciter first. And for fun, I might actually throw another old standby on here that I've been showing off the past few weeks, and this is Output Thermal. You have your basic kind of preset look here as far as, you know, your starting points as far as some different effects and things like that. Drums, bass, vocals, guitars, keys. So yeah, mix bus, kind of that. Let's see what we get out of. Like I said, I'm all for presets and things like that. Just to kind of ease into it. So we're gonna go with something. I always like the names and just try to figure out what they want. Digital Crunch. Let's see what that does. Ooh, too much. Sometimes their effects can be a little too much. Apologies, getting this text out. Yeah, sometimes their effects can be too much if you're not prepared for them, unfortunately. But just always make sure your finger's on the proverbial trigger to pull it down quickly. They do have some fun ones in here. Yo. But like I said, if y'all have any questions, just throw them to me. I'm just kind of clicking through this presets just to see what makes any kind of sense. If I was really wanting to mix this kind of more into for any kind of songs or anything like that, I would probably take this with an AI kind of thing and separate out the stems, or attempt to. Or more or less, I would probably ask the artist to be able to send those stems out more to break down that kick, snare, hi-hat, just because I would love to be able to process this a little bit differently. My kick and my snare, I typically like to center them in the mix, and then my hi-hats and stuff like that, I would want to kind of spread them more wide through the mix, or kind of pan them side to side. Since I don't have that option, I'm just kind of trying to process them as a group and seeing what I can kind of get out of it. But we'll start throwing elements into it and kind of see where the mix lands. I'm going to throw these perks in here and get those balanced into it as well. typically like a long reverb tail on my crashes, just so they kind of blend in through the mix. I'm going to use this. I've used it quite a few, especially on that first week that I did it. I did this this Luxverb, which is, I believe, is a relatively newer plugin to FL Studio. I turn on the feedback just a little bit. What that should do. Do not want any pitch shift on it. I want to really just want it to bounce around a little bit. So what I did there is I split this track into two. I still want the intro portion of the sample to be loud and obviously in your face, especially to compete against the drums, but I don't want these tailing parts of it to be as loud, especially when they start competing up with this other part of the delay sample that has what's kind of the more interesting part out of it. Because I don't want them conflicting against each other. Excuse me. Steve, you gotta get me better stems, my boy. So I would love to be able to take out some parts of these and really mix them up. I had missed that the music box kind of part was baked into this crash sample there too. right, so we're gonna process the bass here. Not completely sure what I want to do with it just yet, but I'm gonna try. Let's see. I want to try something I hadn't tried in a while, which is just R bass. Good old classic Waves plugin. Should help our bass be a little bit more present. So I'm going to solo out our bass here. I'm going to pull down our output because I don't want it clipping. I'm going to pull down to what this is basically doing is enhancing the low end of our bass frequencies. I don't typically like to mix visually, but sometimes it does help to kind of have something up visually that can show you where there might be either too much or too little sound information. I was looking for something else, but I think this Free Spectroman. Was I also looking for Wave Candy? Yes, I was looking for Wave Candy, not Spectroman, but it works also. But we'll do this. Move that over here, and let's see what this one was. So that's the actual spectrum I would like. So a spectrogram or a spectrum analyzer like this is kind of fun to look at. I'll actually probably just make this bigger so y'all can visualize it yourself. And I'm going to play, let's see, just this synth, this lead synth, since it's a little bit, it's mono kind of synth. So what a spectrum analyzer allows you to do is allows you to see the intensity or energy of audio at different frequencies. So you have your low end down here, your high end up here. And then as you can see, since sound is logarithmic, it kind of can shift through here. So, so I'm going to play this and then so that's looking wild, and that's a lot more wild than I thought it was going to. I thought it was just going to be something more looking like, where's my 3-oxo C? I thought it was going to look more something like, let me also change my scale a little bit on this. That might make it a little bit easier to visualize. I'm going to turn, let's see, it's been a while stepping in here. Turn down these so I just have a pure sine wave. And there's still harmonics in there. That's weird. Mix down, mix down. So yeah, this just kind of allows you to see the different energy at different frequencies, and so you can see those were, that was my root note. Now there are some obviously harmonics that are playing apparently higher than that, and I'm not exactly sure where they're coming from because I thought this was supposed to be a single sine wave. But you can see that was my root note that I was playing, which was, you know, C4. And that's where the main energy is. When I throw, I'm going to take this away, delete that back again. And so when I play something like our drums, you can see that they are all encompassing of the spectrum as far as where all of the energy is. Especially our hi-hats are kind of living up in this range. Our snare is living down in this range. Our kick. And I'm going to do something with a parametric EQ. Remember, I resorted this now. So this will allow you to be able to see our how a EQ is kind of working here. So we have our low pass. I'll make it sharp with no resonance. And I'm just going to let it play and then adjust it down as we are going through it. And so you can see how this is actually working as far as where it's knocking down a lot of the energy. It's interesting that there's still spikes, and I was about to point at the screen with my hand, but it's interesting that there are still spikes well above this, even though that's, let's see, so that's sitting at a centering frequency of about 200 hertz. So about 200 hertz, and you can see that's right where our cutoff is there of the energy that's in there. If I pull this back up to, let's say, 1,000 hertz. So there's our 1,000 hertz or 1 kilohertz. You can see that most of our energy is cut off there. If I pull this back up to, let's say, 5K, there's our 5 kilohertz there. And if I pull this up, we get our full signal. So yeah, it's just interesting to use a spectrograph that way, just to kind of see where the energy might be either too much or too little. Sometimes it's also a good way to visualize where the information differences are between, like, say, a WAV file and an MP3 file. But yeah, any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, throw them in the chat. Like I said, this was a pretty kind of straightforward instrumental tonight, and I am, like I said, trying to keep it a little bit shorter tonight since I have a nice sore throat. Cheers. Which is just lovely. So let's see what this is. Everything playing, correct? Yep. So that right there. Wish I could get it to pause. Let's see. I think I can pause it there whenever we if I replay that. The fun thing there is you can see the bass line moving up and down through its notes. So there's all your energy. Kind of, I've adjusted the scale back so more normal frequencies are here, not all the air frequencies above at like 10 to 20K. So there you can see all the energy of the bass line, and then as it's playing its normal notes kind of down here, doom, 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 and then a doom, 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 right down kind of here. So that's always fun to just watch. Some other kind of fun things in here. So you have your oscilloscope. And that's kind of just showing the frequencies that are playing as time is going by, and the amplitude of said frequencies. Amplitude being your up and down movement. Meter is obviously just a volume meter. Sorry, kind of got all lost there. And then a vector scope is also kind of cool because it shows you amplitude over your left and your right channel. So it allows you to kind of visualize your stereo separation. So if I come in here to our mix, we are currently, let's choose something that is not currently stereo separated, and then we will go in and mess around with it. So we're going to solo our drums again, let's say. So those are fairly narrow, you can see. So we have our left and our right, and our this is again the amplitude of things. So our positive and our negative, or our crest and our nulls, I believe is what the more technical term is. And then your left and your right. And so that's showing how much your stereo separation is. So right now we are not, it's a very narrow signal. Trying to catch it with that hi-hat. There is a hi-hat in there that is slightly to the left. So there's, I couldn't catch it fully, but it's slightly bending. You can see that it's pan left. Let's see if I can widen this out and see if that does anything. It didn't, but let's see if I throw a let's see, stereo. Or something like, and I know this will not sound good, but let's say something like a phaser. And so you can see there, even as I pan left and right here, where the energy is going. So you have left positive, left negative. So this is your left channel and the amplitude going there, and then your right positive and right negative. So if I have this fully to the right, or fully to the left, or even just in the center. So again, just kind of fun ways to monitor and play with audio. I'm going to take that off because I know it does not sound good whatsoever. Hey, what up, AI? Steve Skyline kind of gave me just a pretty straightforward beat tonight. I've got a nice sore throat that I'm contending with, so I'm trying to keep it short, or a little bit shorter tonight. So any questions you got, throw them at me. I'll probably be live for, let's say, another 15 minutes or so. Yeah, we are. I did click go live, right? We're all good. Yeah. Oh, do not want to click that. There we go. All right, yeah, we're looking good. So yeah, we got our mix here. I'm gonna turn this back to our Spectrum. And like I said, I'm pretty much done with this beat as far as like how I would get there. Might make some more smaller tweaks here in just a second. We'll see. Good times, nice production issues. I just realized I was muted most of that time. What I was saying is that Waves a few years ago came out with their one knob series. They are just one knob that does whatever it says on the package, kind of thing. I want to actually turn this. This was not a great example. So you have, they have a. At least the ones that I have in my favorites here are one knob brighter, one knob driver, one knob filter, one knob stereo, fatter, pressure, wetter. And what this allows you to do is just very simple effects to throw onto here. So let me we'll take this back off. And I'm going to turn those off for now as well. And what I have here is, let's say, one knob brighter. So this is our stock loop. I'll play it on a loop here for 4 bars. And so it kind of just does what it says on the tin. It makes the signal brighter at some certain frequency. I'm unsure which. you can see, oh, didn't mean to do that. But you can see here what it's doing is that it really is it's increasing the intensity of the sound up in those upper frequencies. And so if I have that all the way down, peep up in this frequencies and watch how much brighter it gets. The brighter the color, as far as your yellow, your oranges, and reds, are the more intense sound. Peep the difference between those and then those. Like I said, they'd have quite a few different ones. One knob driver is kind of a basic distortion, saturation kind of plugin. One knob filter. Just kind of a basic high pass, low, or a low pass kind of situation. Let's see. We have a one knob louder. Just makes everything louder. One knob fatter. It kind of throws a light bump in the lower of the lower range of the EQ by the sound of it, if I remember correctly. And then one knob pressure is kind of a you can kind of set a few different settings there. If I remember correctly, it's kind of a compressor. Yes, and it sucks everything out if you really turn it up. But might make for a decent. A lot of these are you set them to a lower level and then kind of feed them in and see what they sound like. Yeah, you typically don't want to just like crank them all the way up and that's it. Unless that's the sound you're going for. They do have usually a couple different sounds. And then the last one that I have currently is in here is a one knob wetter. So again, just the basic kind of reverb there. I'm going to take that actually off. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use it lightly. And what that will kind of do for our drums, using a reverb on them, it will allow them to sound like they're kind of in the same space, since this is kind of a bust drum situation already, since that's how they were sent to me. And Steve, if you end up watching this, you do the same thing that A1 did to me, where you didn't include your tag for me to also mix in there as well. But I'll get up with you if you want that back in. A new comment on episode 2. And Steve, I don't typically do anything creatively for anybody on their mix. It is sent to me purely to be able to make the mix as best as it is possible to me. In my opinion, there might be an extra kick or two somewhere in this drum fill. It sounds like there might be an extra kick somewhere in there. Because I bet if I come in here and I could so yeah, typically, and that's how I approach it, is I am not trying to change somebody's creativity. I am purely here to make what is sent to me as good as possible, as good as it can possibly sound, or at least in my kind of experience. Yeah, I can see, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I can see that there's an extra kick in there, right there. I can see the spike, right? Turn off my snapping here. There's an extra kick right in there. It's almost like a kick flam if it was like an actual kick pedal that's being played. But it's like so what it basically sounds like to me is that there are two kicks playing at the same time, and it's not cutting off the first kick is not getting cut off from the sample, so they're both, the sample is playing at the same time as far as those two kicks. So yeah, that's kind of how I would leave this if I was going to stop there. I know I was I meant to say this earlier. Always Control S. Episode 6, the Skyline. I'm gonna just get this saved real quick. What I wanted to play around with real quick though, hopefully, and let's see what this turn that Puig Child off, and I got Ozone 11 loaded up here. Where do we live? Ozone 11 recently acquired. So they obviously have all of their new tips and tricks. I typically, for the newest versions of Ozone, I have I will be honest, like I said, I try to get in the quest for quick workflows. I have used the assistant, the what are you trying to do with what are you trying to do? They have presets. Some of them are okay. I haven't not gone through Ozone 11s yet. I will say, and I need to go back in my files and see if I still have it. One of my favorite Ozone versions though was Isotope Ozone 5. And there was a preset in there, and it was the genre specific one, genre specific mastering. And this one does not compare anymore to what it used to do, but there was a hip hop preset in there that was just knocked it out of the park. I don't know what this one is, so I'm gonna just turn it on the default. You can come in here and you can create whatever kind of mishmash effects that they have in here. Like I said, a lot of times I will just use their assistant, and we're gonna do that here just to see what it can kind of come up with and then compare. And so what I wanted to see and kind of compare with is my mixing / mastering for instrumentals and beats is mainly just based off of my needs. And that's been create. We can fix it, and we can fix my mix later. And that's more so like I don't want the mixing and mastering to hamper what I'm working on. I would rather get stuff created and then go back and tweak it later if I need to. I think that's obviously the way I work. That may not be the way you work. But what works for me is I typically just want to keep things as simple as possible. That's why I live off of that Puig Child 670. I live off of that one preset. I live off of kind of just clicking through everything and seeing where everything kind of just ends up. Now, and I've said that before in the past, once vocals get involved, we kind of live in a different realm as far as adjusting things in a different way or approaching things in a different way. I talked about that earlier back in this episode. It's like I can dive deeper and I can surgically EQ things, and I can go in and I can tweak this ozone to be, with everything, and go in here and, I need 2 more dB out of this or something along those lines. I can do all that if I so choose, but I want to do that after I've created. I don't want to do that when I'm have already, or like I'm in the process of creating. Getting bogged down in the mixing and mastering of things isn't helpful typically when you're creating. And I guess I'll get off my soapbox here and we'll kind of see what this sounds like here versus what my mix sounds like, see where we kind of end up. Like I said, I'm not necessarily mixing and mastering for it to even necessarily be the best, let's say. I'm looking for the quick and dirty solutions to get things out the door as quickly as possible. Like I said, I can go back in and I can do the surgical kind of stuff. I choose not to most of the time, but we'll see what this kind of sounds like and go from there. I'm going to relearn this just on this latter part and see what this does. Between these two presets, this EDM one is kind of speaking to me a touch more. It sounds a little bit brighter. It sounds a little bit more controlled by what they're putting forth. We'll see. So yeah, here's this EDM preset. Here's that same part with the hip hop preset. The EDM one is a little bit brighter. The hip hop one is a little bit flat, as my voice is going flat. What up, D Live? So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm landing on this. I hadn't even looked at any of the settings. I literally have just opened this up for one of the first times today. I don't think there's much in here. So I'm going to run with the ZDM preset. It's kind of, I'll do a bounce out and then we'll compare the three different versions. Let me bounce these out real quick and we will be right back. All right. Unsure. I was having some issues there for a second. So I'm going to play through the original Bounce, and then I'll play through the Puig Child, and then I'll play through the Ozone version. So just to kind of give a comparison. So I'm going to solo out. This is the original mix as it was sent to me. We'll play this and then see where we end up.
You're going to love this. Just love it.
Give each one a minute. All right, so that was the mix as it was sent to me. This is the Puig Child version. Right, that was the Puig Child version, and then we've got the Ozone version, which I'm going to have to actually play live. As like I said, for some reason I was having issues. It was bouncing and it was silent. So we are going to play that here for a minute, and we'll see how that compares. So I think I land somewhere in the middle between kind of all the two versions that I've now created. The Puig Child lands about where I typically like to land. The Ozone one sounds a little bit overcooked, and I can go in and tweak that. I'm not going to tonight. And the original, I think, sound has some creative effects on it. I would wish to replicate like the tape stop and his tag and stuff like that. But I think what the Puig Child and my current mix did is it just tightened it up a little bit, added a little bit of shine and sheen, and just kind of meshed everything together. I think the Ozone one, like I said, got a little bit overcooked, and there's some parts in there that get a touch overdone, especially in the mids. On every sound, no. Let's see. Let's say, do you use a stereo imager on every sound? I do not. I think I've reiterated this kind of each week. What I try to keep things as basic as possible. And I think that kind of also comes from my live sound background as well, in that you want to try and limit the amount of things that can go wrong. Looking right along here, down on the bottom, you can see I'm not using many plugins. We've got currently right now on is the Ozone. Typically, y'all know I like the Puig Child. My drum bus has 3 on it. There's one there, none on any of these, and a reverb plugin on a Crash. And the reason, like I said, I like to keep things as simple as possible, as straightforward as possible. I went on that little soapbox journey a few minutes back. D-Live if you want to peep it, but it's I don't want the mix and master to get in the way of the creative process. And obviously I'm mixing for somebody else, but it's the same kind of thing. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of a surgical EQ kind of thing and going in like, oh, I need to cut out these amount of frequencies at like just this little bit, and need to try and eke out this. Like I said, I can. Do I always want to? No, unless it's calling for it. And when I was, I also mentioned it way earlier in this live, when I am mixing a battle beat versus a beat with vocals on it. I hope somebody sends me one with vocals like at some point as well, like a full song, and I'd love to go in and mix that with vocals as well. But my approach there is I typically want to find elements in a battle type beat and let them shine. I think a battle type beat, or a beat in general where there's no vocals on it, as far as like somebody recording, singing, rapping, whatever, is that I want the beat to be able to speak on its own. And I think that usually starts in the creative process as well. But I want the beat to be able to speak on its own, and have certain elements that are like, oh, that's a really nice. And so I think that kind of lives here with something like this, this synth. But the one that I really wanted to pull up, and you can see I pulled it up like 6 and 5 dB here, is I really wanted this little part to kind of stand up on its own, because it's a nice little part that I didn't even hear on my first few listens, but it's this little part. It's one part that Ozone I think is getting wrong, as it crushes this out just a little bit, but it's these kind of music box, wind chimey kind of parts. Actually turn off Ozone. Play my own version. Yeah, it doesn't get lost in the Puig Child, doesn't lose it as much as the Ozone does. But yeah, so I think no, I don't use a stereo imager on every sound. If I want to do some stereo imaging, I'll play around with the knobs here for FL Studio. These are you can completely mono out a sound, such as the bass here, or you can widen it out, as I've done here with the Perks. Let me play this one solo, and then I'll reset its channel just a little bit. So I have it widened out 100% to the stereo field, and then it's actually panned left slightly. And then with this perk, it was panned right slightly with 100% stereo. Um, and so with that, I wind it out. Pan this one right. Pan this one left. And I pulled their levels way down because it didn't need, with as high up in the frequency ranges they are, they don't need too much to kind of stand out above everything else and add what they're supposed to be doing. And there's times they will get lost in there. I think that kind of makes for a more interesting beat sometimes too, where different elements come in and out. And whether that's because either you take them out physically, like, I mean, this sample isn't playing the entire time, or they just kind of, it's not their time to shine in the mix. So, you know, it's, they get lost every once in a while, which is fine. But then once you start listening to them and you pick it back up, it's like, oh yeah, there they are. What up, Steve? Hey, I said it earlier. Yeah, this beat is crazy. I said it earlier, Steve, and I'm sure you'll watch this back at some point. These fills are slightly different, and there's an extra kick in a couple of these fills. Let's see, because I can see it in the actual waveform. There's like an extra kick, and it could be your choice, but it's almost sounds like a kick flam, and it's the two samples. It wasn't the kick isn't cutting. The second kick is not cutting off the first one. It's that one right there. Too many shows. Yeah, it's this one right here. If you want like an exact time, it's at 38 seconds. There's like an extra kick right there, and it's somewhere else in there. But yeah, I'm going to wrap this up here shortly as well. Like I said, that sore throat is starting to kick my ass, and I can feel it a little bit more. Any further questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, leave a like, subscribe, do all that YouTube kind of stuff, share the stream. If for some reason you're watching this afterwards, leave a comment. I'll be happy to answer. This has been a Fix My Mix, episode 6 for Steve Skyline. I'm going to take us out of here. I'll let it play through one more time. As this is playing, so I'll actually just do this. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace. Nothing compares.